Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back. It is Monday, and those of you who are normal viewers knows that Monday is pretty much become the David Wilcock review day. David Wilcock, in desperate need of money lately, has been actually working once a week. That's right. Poor little rich boy actually works for 3 or 4 hours once a week now, and complains the whole time that he's not making enough money. As we'll see from tonight's clips, which I will share with you, David Wilcock on his most recent stream is complaining that he's only making about $10,000 a month on YouTube, and it's just not enough to pay his bills. And one might ask themselves, what kind of lifestyle does $120,000 a year afford most people? I would think a very good lifestyle, but don't let things like, reality get in the way. David Wilcock is quite spoiled and used to making hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, selling completely fake stories. And before we begin tonight's presentation, I want to make a few announcements, and those announcements are not for the benefit of my audience. They're actually for the benefit of any human reviewers. We've had this ongoing battle recently where any of my broadcasts that are critical of David Wilcock's broadcasts on YouTube get demonetized. And then after human review, they confirm not eligible for advertising. So I want to ask the human reviewer, if David Wilcock is allowed to be fully monetized while he's pushing medical disinformation, Q conspiracies, fake Pizzagate conspiracies, and more, then why can't my broadcasts be fully monetized when we give our audience the truth behind the fake conspiracies, fake stories, and complete and total disinformation and misinformation that David Wilcock is promoting on the very same platform we're on, YouTube? I'm not quite sure what the issue or problem is. We've eliminated cursing. Maybe there's some off-color remarks. I really don't know what it is. But I want to appeal to the human reviewer and say, all we want is an equal playing field. If David Wilcock is allowed to be fully monetized, giving people completely fake information, and by the way, David Wilcock is on YouTube promoting completely and totally dangerous things to his followers. Most recently, Mr. Wilcock has decided to tell his followers that it's a good idea to take baths in your own urine because then you'll get superpowers. This is medical disinformation. It could be completely and totally dangerous. Yet YouTube is allowing him to fully monetize his streams. And by the way, human reviewer, that's one example. I could give 100 more examples of the dangerous misinformation and disinformation that David Wilcock on an almost weekly basis is pushing out to tens of thousands of people. Yet when we correctly are critical of the claims of New Age guru, fake guru, David Wilcock, we are demonetized. And again, I'm not asking for special treatment in a review. If my language is too coarse, if I drop F-bombs every 5 minutes, certainly YouTube should have the right to say, your stream is not advertiser friendly. But I'm going to refrain from cursing for this entire broadcast. And I'm also going to try to refrain from anything that would be objectionable to advertiser guidelines. What we do here is actually a public service and is in the public benefit. David Wilcock is promoting dangerous conspiracy theories on YouTube and making $10,000 a month by his own admission doing so. Meanwhile, the human reviewer is free to look at our financial income here, which is a percentage, 1% of what he's making, to tell people the truth and to dispel these dangerous conspiracy theories. And again, I'm not asking for special treatment. I'm asking for a level playing field. If you as a platform are going to allow David Wilcock to actively promote Q conspiracies, Pizzagate conspiracies, medical disinformation, problematic medical advice, he's telling people he's giving people nutrition and diet advice. He's not a qualified nutritionist or medical doctor. Everything he's doing on his channel is completely against the terms of service of YouTube as I read them. However, YouTube has turned a blind eye to David Wilcock's promotion of this dangerous information, while simultaneously demonetizing people that are pointing out these dangerous conspiracy theories he's pushing, and simultaneously demonetizing people like me who are correctly correcting the record of the dangerous fake information that he is actively promoting for profit on YouTube. And right now, I'll get off my soapbox. Also, just want to mention that we're going to try to make things a bit more professional and studious, especially at the beginning of our broadcast. So I will ask for my audience's indulgence, as perhaps some of these things which I'm about to go over will be considered old news to you, my audience. So on the subject of David Wilcock, we'll be talking tonight about unmasking some of his pseudoscience and fabrications. And by the way, human reviewer, the latest fake story that he's promoting for profit on YouTube is that he saved Donald Trump's life with his telekinetic superpowers in dreamland. That's right. He's telling people on YouTube that the reason Donald Trump was not assassinated is because he used his telekinetic superpowers, which he previously claimed he got from taking baths in his own urine because the Archangel Michael told him to do that. So, you know, hey, human reviewer, have a heart. I'm just here saying this is ridiculous. And first of all, I don't think he should be allowed on YouTube saying any of this stuff, but he's doing it for profit. I make a video critical of this and we get instantly demonetized. So I suppose the message from YouTube is you can promote dangerous conspiracy theories and be fully monetized, but if with facts and evidence and logic you rip apart those fake conspiracy theories, we will demonetize your video. This is the message that I'm sorry I've been getting from YouTube, is that I'm not allowed to tell people the truth here. But if I want to lie to people and promote dangerous conspiracy theories, I can be fully monetized and do that. I can think of no other reason why this situation exists. So we'll be talking about unmasking the pseudoscience and fabrications of David Wilcock tonight. David Wilcock, after all, is a prominent figure in the realm of pseudoscience and conspiracy theories, and has been for quite some time. And I will admit that David Wilcock has been very successful at captivating audiences with his extraordinary but often fake claims about ancient civilizations, extraterrestrial contact, and of course, secret space programs. Among his most controversial and dubious endeavors is his collaboration with Corey Goode, which spanned over 5 years, I believe. Together, they have propagated a series of completely fictional false narratives about a secret space program, or SSP, purportedly involving covert operations, advanced extraterrestrial technology, and hidden agendas. However, a closer examination reveals a pattern of falsehoods and exaggerations that have misled many. Famously, recently, Corey Goode, during a court deposition, admitted under oath that those secret space program stories were works of fiction and his intellectual property, and that he had to admit under oath during a deposition that he'd never even been to space. David Wilcock has never explained why he spent 5 years promoting secret space program stories from an alleged secret space program insider who later admitted in court he'd never actually been to space. So the secret space programs that Mr. Wilcock and Mr. Goode promoted, are they fact or fiction? Wilcock and Goode's SSP narrative revolves around the idea that the U.S. government, along with other global powers, has been long involved in covert space operations for decades. They claim that these programs have resulted in the development of advanced spacecraft, time travel technology, alliances with various extraterrestrial species, and even off-world colonies. Despite the elaborate and enticing nature of these sensational stories, they lack credible evidence. But they don't just lack credible evidence, they lack any evidence whatsoever. Because even after 5 years of promoting these stories, David Wilcock and Corey Goode have never presented a single shred of real or empirical or verifiable evidence. So the lack of verifiable evidence is a real problem. And one of the most glaring issues with Wilcock and Goode's claims is the complete and total absence of any verifiable evidence. It's just trust me, bro stories. Their assertions rely heavily on anecdotal accounts, hearsay, and supposed insider testimonies that cannot be independently corroborated. And in some cases, David Wilcock has used completely and totally fake government insiders, claiming that these people were government insiders, but a little bit of investigation and fact-checking reveals that the people he's using and calling government insiders, like Pete Peterson, never actually worked anywhere in the government, and their entire biography is fictitious, made up, and fabrications. Unlike legitimate whistleblowers who often provide concrete evidence or documentation, Wilcock and Goode's sources remain shadowy, often anonymous, and completely and totally unverifiable. Then, of course, there are shifting narratives and complete and total contradictions presented by Wilcock. The narratives presented by Wilcock and Goode have also been marked by inconsistencies and contradictions. But over time, their stories have evolved and shifted and become more grandiose, often to align with current events or to maintain audience interest. This fluidity undermines the credibility of their claims, suggesting they are more concerned with maintaining a captivating storyline than in actually presenting factual information. And let's not forget, I'm very fond of saying that these people are not out there just telling stories. If they were, I wouldn't have very much of a problem. The problem that I have is these people aren't just telling people stories, they're selling the story. And there are huge financial motivations behind the SSP stories. Wilcock and Goode have not merely shared their SP stories out of a sense of altruism or a desire to inform the public. Their involvement in this narrative has proven to be highly lucrative, with each reportedly making millions of dollars doing so. They have monetized their claims through books, paid speaking engagements, online courses, and exclusive memberships to their websites. Next, we need to really recognize that what Corey Goode and David Wilcock were doing that entire 5 years was exploiting belief and hope, because many followers of Wilcock and Goode are individuals searching for meaning and hope in an increasingly strange and complex world. Wilcock and Goode, by offering tantalizing stories of advanced technologies and benevolent extraterrestrials, they exploit these desires, providing a sense of belonging to those listening and purpose. This manipulation is not only ethically questionable, but it also preys on the vulnerability of their audience. Then, of course, there is the commercialization of the SSP narrative. Corey Goode is right now has made video games, speaking engagements, courses, members-only videos, and more. And now he's trying to make video games around his SSP narratives. So the commercialization of their secret space program narrative is evident in the various products and services that they offer. From expensive online courses promising to reveal hidden or classified truths, to exclusive memberships granting access to supposed insider information, Wilcock and Goode have created a profitable business model based on completely and totally unsubstantiated claims. The commercial aspect of what they do raises questions about their true motivations and the authenticity of their revelations. Then, of course, there is the broader impact on the conspiracy theory landscape. Wilcock and Goode's propagation of false SSP stories has broader implications for the landscape of conspiracy theories and the public's understanding of science and history. First of all, they, because of their success, have created hundreds and hundreds of others making similar claims. And the internet, for quite some time, and I believe is still being flooded with supposed secret space program insiders. Many copycats have popped up, They're speaking at UFO conferences, telling their fantastic secret space program stories, and more. And then, of course, there's the erosion of critical thinking. By promoting completely evidence-free stories and unverified and fantastical claims, Wilcock and Good contribute to the erosion of critical thinking in society. Their followers, often drawn in by the allure of secret knowledge, may become less inclined to question or critically evaluate information. This trend is particularly concerning in an era where misinformation can spread rapidly and influence public opinion. And of course, they are distracting people from legitimate issues. The focus on these outlandish conspiracy theories can distract people from real pressing issues that require people's attention and action. By diverting attention to their fantastical narratives, Wilcock and Good potentially undermine efforts to address tangible problems such as climate change, social inequality, and government transparency. David Wilcock and Corey Good's promotion of their secret space program narrative is a case study in the dangers of pseudoscience and accepting evidence-free stories, and also the exploitation of belief for financial gain. Their stories, which some find captivating, honestly, I find childish and nonsensical, but some people find them captivating. Their stories lack credible evidence or even any evidence at all, and have evolved inconsistently over time. By capitalizing on the hopes and desires of their audience, they have created a profitable enterprise that undermines critical thinking and distracts from legitimate issues. It's crucial for individuals to approach such claims with skepticism and to prioritize evidence-based understanding over sensationalism. So we're going to get to the many, many clips. For those unaware, we used to go through the entire, 3 or 4 hour stream that Wilcock would put together, but things are made much easier now by a kind and generous person on Twitter who makes all of the relevant clips now, and that is at Macario Mend on Twitter. So we're going to get into it. 1 second here. I'm going to put my fair use banner up because we need to be sure to understand it's fair use. This is a transformative work, and we're educating the public. 1 moment, let me get that up. And while I do that, let me welcome in the live chat. And also, apologize for the wonky start today. Apparently, thanks Elon Musk, X has decided that you can't stream on Twitter or X, whatever I'll call it Twitter forever. You can't stream on Twitter unless you're a premium account. So we have to pay now to be able to stream on Twitter, which is pretty concerning. We've been able to stream up until now. So that's a market change in, I suppose, this strategy. But one thing I do want to point out is that we've never made a dime. We have never made a dime on Twitter, and I provide those streams sort of as a public service to people who prefer to watch on Twitter, I suppose. So I'm going to have to evaluate whether we're going to pay. I have no problem with somebody making money, but come on, Elon Musk. We're a struggling media producer and content creator here. Do you really need my $20 a month to let me stream on Twitter? I mean, it is what it is. Rockets aren't cheap, right? Spaceships aren't cheap. So we're going to get into the clips. Okay, so we're going to begin with David Wilcock complaining that he's only making $10,000 a month. You got to love it. David Wilcock is living in a multi-million-dollar mansion, lying to his followers, claiming that he was trying to make it through the winter in an uninsulated cabin. It's a multi-million-dollar log cabin style mansion that he lives in. It's worth $2 million last I checked from a real estate estimator website. And he's telling people he's struggling to survive the winter in an uninsulated cabin. Now he's complaining that he's not making enough money. I gotta love it. Spoiled rich boy.
Rotina's already donated, I guess 500 ARS is like $1. But thank you to Rotina. So, you know, I do make about maybe 10 grand a month on this, but that includes all the super chats and all the ads and everything. So it's not really enough, but it is sustainable. And I do thank you guys for participating in that.
It's not really enough. $10,000 a month is not enough money for David Wilcock. He's only making $10,000 a month. And, you know, this is why I have such a problem with this guy. And also, attention human reviewer, he just said he's making $10,000 a month. And what is he doing on YouTube? He's telling people that the Archangel Michael said that you should take baths in your own urine in order to get superpowers. That's what he's doing, and he's making $10,000 a month on your platform. Meanwhile, I can't make $12 on my stream, you know, giving people the reality behind his pseudoscience fake claims. Does that seem like a fair way to run a distribution platform or a streaming platform or video sharing platform? Does it seem fair that David Wilcock can make $10,000 a month telling people to take baths in their own piss in order to get superpowers? But I'm here telling people, first of all, that's medically dangerous and you should consult your doctor. You shouldn't do something like that without consulting a doctor. And here this guy is complaining that he's not making enough money telling people to take baths in their own urine. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. And meanwhile, YouTube is taking my lousy $12 or whatever we get in ad revenue per stream, maybe 20 if we're lucky, right?
It's certainly not big money as far as I'm concerned. My mortgage is well over half that amount.
Again, he mentions his mortgage, but we have previously showed you that he doesn't own his home anymore. So he doesn't have a mortgage anymore because he transferred ownership of his home to a shell corporation that is connected to his one-time attack lawyer, Liz Laurie, somehow. And he's in the midst of, I believe, some sort of negotiations with the IRS. So that's very problematic that he would be transferring multi-million-dollar assets while negotiating with the IRS over, what was it, $1.5 million in unpaid income taxes.
You know, food and everything else costs a lot. So
yeah, things cost a lot, and 10 grand a month is not enough for David Wilcock. I spent this past weekend doing many things, but one of the things I've done is trying to return to a meditation practice. And I was listening to some tapes about Buddhist meditation. And one of the things that struck me is loving kindness, right? You're supposed to really focus on being a more loving and kind person. And I'm trying my best. But when I see a guy like this who's living in a multi-million-dollar home, telling people to take baths in their own urine, and making $10,000 a month on YouTube, and then complaining that $10,000 a month isn't enough for him, it's very hard to love this man and to be kind to him. But I will try my very best, and we're going to continue. We're going to try to get through these clips fast and furious today. So David Wilcock is telling people not only that he predicted Donald Trump's attempted assassination, but that he prevented it with his telekinetic superpowers, which we covered previously. He said he got telekinetic superpowers by taking baths in his own urine, and the Archangel Michael told him to take those baths in his own urine in order to get the superpowers. You just can't even make this stuff up, friends, but let's try to get through it.
Tense, the attempted taking down of 4547. It's quite a story, you guys. I was I was in a lot of pain, actually. I guess I'll show you the scar later, but I've been going through massage, and I had some very, very intense work done on my neck. My body worker told me that she never was able to get in there like this before. I have 2 huge black and blue marks right here. I'll show you that a little later.
He's got a body worker. What does that even mean? He's doing body work. Does anybody know what that means? Does that mean he's going to rub and tugs? Or what does he mean? He's getting body work done.
But the point is, yeah, I was in bed. I was trying to get some sleep. I didn't even feel like doing a show. I was depressed. Yesterday, I was in a bad mood. And then I wake up, and the first thing I saw was on TG, and it was from Ezra.
And he's mentioning a Q-tard Telegram poster. That's who he gets his news from, Q-tards. Q conspiracy, let me be kinder and have a more loving kindness. He's getting his news and his information from Q conspiracy pushing Telegram channels.
And it said Trump is safe. And I'm like, well, safe from what? And then I started to read other things on TG, and I realized, oh my God, there's a video of this. And I start hearing what sounds like, you know, crack, 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 crack. It's like, oh my gosh. Obviously, this is something we talked about, that the threat existed.
And here he's claiming that he talked about or predicted that Donald Trump would face an assassination attempt. I'm sorry, no, we cover him every week. He never, ever predicted that that there would be an assassination attempt at Donald Trump. But see, friends, this is what we get from all fake psychics. They always take real world events and then they try to backdate and pretend that they predicted it. Show me a quote of him in the last 5 years claiming that someone would attempt to assassinate Donald Trump. It never happened, but he's going to try to take credit. And again, he claims to be in communication with the Archangel Michael, who's predicting the future for him. This is completely and totally fake information. He never predicted this. And and let's take a moment just to say that this event that happened was a tragedy. This event that happened Saturday was a tragedy, and somebody lost their lives. There's still a couple of people that I believe are critically injured. This is just a completely and totally tragic event. But don't ever underestimate a grifter's ability to use that in their cons, swindles, and scams. David Wilcock is directly profiting from the tragic murder of a good family man who tragically was sitting behind Trump and shielded his own wife and children and tragically lost his life. And here David Wilcock is profiting from this tragedy, claiming, well, here we're getting the claim that he predicted this and he's been talking about this as a possibility and this might happen. He never predicted this. And later, we'll see in a separate clip, he's essentially claiming that in the dream world or the astral world, David Wilcock deflected the bullet from Trump's head with his telekinetic superpowers. And remember, where did he claim to get telekinetic superpowers from? From taking baths in his own urine, because the Archangel Michael told him to do that.
This is very real, that this threat exists. Somebody like me, I'm on the front lines. I'm doing this for you. I'm not doing this for myself. I already know these things.
Okay, he's not doing this for, he already knows this. Sure. Great. Let's go to the next one. Again, he's talking about psychopaths again, but a lot of more critically minded viewers of his think that he's talking about himself. Here he goes.
And that what they will do is tell you exactly what you want to hear. They'll hit off all your talking points. They'll make you feel amazing. They will shamelessly dump on what they call your enemy, and they will stroke your ego day after day if you watch their stuff or read their stuff, make you think that you're the cool ones and the opponent is the loser. And that what they...
Yeah, a lot of people think... Macario says, again, this guy doesn't see that he's talking about himself. Gotta love it. And he's obsessed with psychopaths. He talks about psychopaths in every one of his streams. Every single stream, he's talking about psychopaths. I don't really understand why, or why he's so completely. And for those wondering, remember, David Wilcock was supposed to get the big loan and start production on the hover cars by now and pay off all of his debts, and then he wouldn't need to ask his audience for money anymore. That's all gone. He just stopped talking about that. Apparently, the loan for Stavati never actually materialized. Imagine that. But he's been saying for several years now that Stavati's going to get funded, and then he'll be able to build those hover cars he's been promising everybody. And remember, he's promised to build hover cars with a free energy engine. You won't even need to put fuel in, that you'll be able to power your entire home from, right? And 2 years ago, he said that those would be available in a year. That was 2 years ago. But now he's shifted the narrative that there's a bad guy, Steve from Canada. A lot of people are thinking he's talking about me. Near as I can tell, he's talking about some other individual that is critical of him on the internet. But here he is again claiming Wilcock still thinks it's just Stephen from Canada because he can only have one hater. More on Stavati and what they are about to do. It's all from Area 51 Black Ops world. So let's get into this one. This is great. And by the way, Wilcock is now saying that his backup plan for if Stavati doesn't get the money is that the aliens that are here on Earth in a secret base under, what was it, Lake Manitoba or something? There's a secret alien base under a lake, and those aliens are going to help him and Stavati Aerospace build the hover cars if they can't get the money to do it themselves. That's how stupid and childish this is.
Oppose and defeat this global cabal came from Majestic, and they have very advanced technology that we don't get to know about. There's a lot of stuff that's classified. So I co-founded, I didn't really co-found, but I joined in with.
Oh, I built Stavati Aerospace. I mean, I co-founded Stavati Aerospace. I mean, never mind. I didn't do any of those things. David Wilcock is not the co-founder. He didn't build Stavati Aerospace. Stavati Aerospace has been in business for 30 years, and they've been failing for 30 years. So it's no surprise to me, having researched Stavati Aerospace, that all of David Wilcock's false claims about Stavati Aerospace keep falling apart. They've never built a single airplane. Imagine being in the aerospace industry for 30 years and you don't have a single airplane to show it, to show people. That would be a complete and total business failure in most people's eyes.
Stavati Aerospace in 2018. And this is a company that's bringing out that technology from the Area 51 Black Ops world into the public world.
They're not bringing out Area 51 technology, David. They can't even bring out publicly available technology because for 30 years, they have yet to produce a single solitary product for sale or any services for sale. And in fact, Stavati's only income is that a garbage dumpster company is renting a part of their facility to store garbage dumpsters in. Stavati admitted in court documents they've never produced, they have no income from aeronautics, which is their principal supposed line of work, right? Stavati Aerospace is a complete and total failure. But apparently or allegedly, David Wilcock has been pumping money into this shady company, which has been called an investment scam and a Ponzi scheme in court documents recently by one of their former investors. Apparently or allegedly, David Wilcock has been pumping money into them since 2018, and he's the only reason the company is still in business. He's dumped that much money in. According to him, millions of dollars of his money has been pumped into Stavati Aerospace, and they still haven't produced any products. They're being sued by multiple vendors. People are seeking liens against their property. They lost all the tax breaks with the local Niagara County officials because they lied and claimed they would create all these jobs. They didn't create one job. They claimed they were going to create, what was it, 500 high-paying $100,000 a year or more jobs. They didn't create one job. So they lost all the tax breaks and incentives from the local municipality where their airplane hangar is. And garbage dumpsters are being stored at that property now, and that's their only income, which amounts to a few $1,000s a month. Meanwhile, one of their former investors is suing them for millions of dollars, and a multitude of vendors that performed work on their facility and were never paid are now suing David Wilcock's Stevati Aerospace for, I think, over $500,000 collectively, and seeking liens and foreclosures on their property for non-payment for goods and services. So, David Wilcock lives in a false reality where he's right now on YouTube on a public live stream, which, by the way, is monetized, human reviewer. He's lying through his teeth and telling everybody that Stevati Aerospace is going to bring secret technology out of Area 51. I'm going to say that again. He's lying on a public live stream and saying that Stevati Aerospace is going to bring out secret technology from Area 51. Yet they haven't produced a single product or service in the 30 years they've been in business. So how are they getting technology out of Area 51? Nobody that works at Stevati ever worked at Area 51. Technology at Area 51 would be top secret, and I think it would be illegal for them to just put it out there. But welcome to the wacky world of Wilcock, where make-believe is real. And these are the kind of false claims that we correct here and then get demonetized for. We can't be monetized telling people correctly that it's absolutely ridiculous for David Wilcock to lie to people and say that Stevati Aerospace is going to bring secret technology out of Area 51 when they've been in business for 30 years and have never produced a single aircraft product or service in the 30 years they've been in business. But they have collected an awful lot of investor money, and they're currently trying to get more investors to put money in. David Wilcock reportedly put millions of dollars in, and they're being sued and being called an investment scam and a Ponzi scheme, and they're not paying any of the people that they owe money to. But hey, sure, Stevati Aerospace and David Wilcock, who claims to be, according to the company website, the director of advanced technology at Stevati, are going to bring Area 51 top secret technology to the public. Sure.
So we're beginning with more conventional aircraft like this. This, of course, as I've said before, is our SM-39 Razor. It's a next generation air defense. It's going to be the fastest plane ever built at Mach 4.
Ridiculous statement. Does anybody believe that a company that's been failing for 30 years to produce even the simplest aircraft product, service, or even a part of an aircraft? These guys can't make airplane seats, but somehow they're going to create the fastest jet fighter that's ever been produced. Not Lockheed Martin, not Northrop Grumman, not Boeing, not, Lockheed Skunk Works. No. A company that's being sued and called an investment scam and a Ponzi scheme is going to make a Mach 4 airplane. And did you hear how he said we're going to bring out conventional aircraft? I'm sorry, but as described, I'm a little bit of an aircraft historian. That would not be considered a conventional airplane. No, not if it goes Mach 4. And by the way, he's also claimed that airplane will fly in space. Never mind the fact that you'd need two separate engine systems because jets don't work in space. You'd need a jet engine system and then some sort of rocket propelled engine system. But again, don't let things like real facts, real science, and real evidence get in the way of a good con, swindle, or grift. And so far, the only proof that they're going to produce this plane that David Wilcock has produced is this 3D printed toys that he made on a 3D printer. That's not a prototype. That's a 3D printed model, David Wilcock. It's a plastic toy. Jeez, I don't even know. All right, let's see what else he has to say.
It's got these huge jet engines that go all the way down here from the front of the bulkheads to the back. That's part of how it's able to accelerate this fast. And basically
Stevati Aerospace has never produced a jet airplane engine. Never. But suddenly they're going to produce the fastest jet engine ever produced. The childishness and the ridiculousness of David Wilcock's claims is so apparent to anybody with a little bit of logic and critical thinking here. Does it make sense that a company that's never produced anything is suddenly going to produce the most advanced fighter aircraft, the fastest airplane fighter ever? And they've never produced any jet fighter or any jet airplane ever in their 30-year history, but they're suddenly going to produce the most advanced, the fastest jet aircraft ever built or flown. Just like they're going to produce anti-gravity hover cars with a free energy engine, right?
Everybody except for one person who watches my show understands that this is true. That one person has been extremely active. And cabal.
Sorry. Again, David Wilcock is claiming he only has one hater now.
Able to accelerate this fast. And basically everybody except for one person who watches my show understands that this is true.
This is not true. And I challenge David Wilcock. Show me a jet engine. Show me a prototype, a real working flying prototype of that airplane you described. And also, David Wilcock has no idea about anything to do with airplane construction, manufacture, or anything. He's just talking out of his, you know what? I'm trying not to curse here for this stream. So, David Wilcock, you're saying that this is true, that you're going to produce this airplane. Show us the airplane. Show us, hey, why don't you show us you flying it? That would be great, right? That's a way to shut up that one hater. And Wilcock is claiming he only has one hater on the entire internet that is saying that his claims aren't true. That's not true. There's a whole group of people on Twitter that rip him apart every time he has a live stream and talk about all the lies that he tells and all the half-truths and the ridiculousness of this and how none of this makes any sense. But, you know, David Wilcock lives in a delusional fantasy world where he's Earth's greatest prophet. Remember, he's called himself the liberator of Earth before. He's also previously claimed to be the father of the white race somehow. You know, it just gets more and more ridiculous. But according to Wilcock, he only has one person that says that his claims aren't true. Well, I'm another person. So that alone, that's two people. So that alone proves that you're completely and totally lying to your audience. There's more than one person that says your claims aren't true. I'm pretty sure that investor that is suing your shady aerospace company would say your claims aren't true. I'm pretty sure that the vendors that are suing your shady aerospace company know that your claims aren't true, or you'd have some money to pay the vendors and pay back the investors.
One person has been extremely active, and we'll talk more about that later. But I really get hardly any hate at all, which is nice. So you guys understand that what we're trying to do here.
He hardly gets, now listen, this is important. Here in this clip, Wilcock says he hardly gets any hate at all. In a clip that I will play for you later in this broadcast, David Wilcock claims that he hired a 4-person team to delete all the hateful comments so that he doesn't have to see any of the hate. Well, which one is it? You get hardly any hate, or you need a 3 or 4 person full-time staff to delete all the hateful comments, Mr. Wilcock? Which one is it? This makes no sense.
Is create disruptive change in the industry. And we're going to do that by selling more conventional aircraft like the one that you just saw, but then the proceeds of that money that we're going to earn are going to be rolled over into advanced technology, and that includes hover cars, which use actual anti-gravity. We have another plane called the SM-36. We have some countries that are very interested in that. It's a vertical takeoff and landing without jets, fans, propeller blades. It actually uses an electrogravitic system.
Okay, so here he's claiming that his aerospace company, which has never produced any regular conventional aircraft, is suddenly going to crack the code of electrogravitic propulsion. So, you know, think about the out of this world claims. His company is going to produce the world's fastest jet fighter ever produced that'll do Mach 4 and also fly in space if you want to. You can go Mach 4 in Earth's atmosphere, then you can just fly in space if you want to. His shady aerospace company is going to produce anti-gravity driven hover cars with a free energy engine, so you don't even need to put fuel in them, And also, they're going to create a vertical takeoff and landing aircraft that uses electrogravitic propulsion system, which is an extremely advanced, exotic form of propulsion that no other major aircraft manufacturer, even ones that have been in business for 75 or 100 years, have been able to get to work. But David Wilcock's shady aerospace company, which is being sued and called an investment scam and a Ponzi scheme, and they can't even afford lawyers to fight some of these lawsuits, they're going to create all of this exotic advanced technology. And it's for these reasons that I say, and I say this with some degree of confidence, that David Wilcock is literally a pathological liar. And you'll notice that pathological liars make grandiose claims like this that make no sense when you pick apart the claims from a logical perspective. Does it make any sense that an aircraft company that's been failing for 30 years is suddenly going to create all of this world-changing advanced technology, including releasing from Area 51 classified technology to the world? No, this man is a pathological liar, in my opinion. But this is a well-informed opinion based on knowing about aircraft technology, based on knowing about the history of the aerospace industry and the big players in it. All the big players in the aerospace industry have been completely and totally unable to do any of these things that David Wilcock claims that his shady aerospace company that's never produced even a bolt for an airplane or a seat for an airplane, his company's going to do all these things that all of the big players, Boeing and Northrop Grumman and Lockheed Martin and Lockheed Skunk Works, all those companies have been completely and totally unable to produce any of the technology that he describes. But his company's going to do it. And you notice that he said, well, first we're going to produce these conventional aircraft, and then we're going to roll the money into making hover cars. Well, that's not what he said 2 years ago. 2 years ago, he said they'd have a working prototype in a year. Now he's saying we have to produce these other airplanes first, then we'll take the money from that and put it into the hover cars. I think that the people at Stevati are conning him and telling him that. But does Wilcock have any idea? Let's go out on a limb here and say they really did start producing an aircraft, a conventional aircraft, and then they have to manufacture it, and then they have to sell it, and then they have to advertise it. They have to find clients and customers to buy it. Then there's a world of restrictions that they will face from the FAA, testing, all kinds of safety things. It could be 10 years to get a working aircraft from the prototype stage to the manufacturing and sales stage. So what are you saying? He mentioned 2 different airplanes they have to produce before we get to the hover cars. Is he saying that we're going to have to wait 20 years? Does he know that each of those aircraft he's talking about producing and manufacturing will probably take at least 10 years to come to fruition before you get to the hover cars? So that would mean that we're all waiting for 20 years. 2 years ago, he promised us working hover car prototypes in a year. Do you see the changing narrative? This is really, really problematic. But, you know, this is what happens when you attack David Wilcock's completely pie-in-the-sky false claims with things like logic and reason and real reality.
To take off the ground, and then the jet engines kick in. This is absolutely true. I did a whole movie about it called Spaceship, which is on Vimeo. You can access it through Michael Prophecies. The first one they blocked, so you have to use.
Yes, he stole so many movie clips from commercial movies like Close Encounters and Star Wars that they copyright strike his crappy movie off of Vimeo. That's why it was taken off of Vimeo, for copyright violations.
It's the direct link, or you can't find it, but part 2 is still up on Vimeo. And I may put it up on Twitter pretty soon as well. So this is about as dangerous as anything can get. They don't want you to know that you don't have to pay for your energy. They don't.
And here, he's going to use Stephen Greer's free energy talking points. There is the same talking points all of these people use. Oh, They don't want you to know. This energy, free energy technology is being suppressed, and you shouldn't have to pay a power bill. We're going to take a moment to recognize some kind and generous people before we continue. We want to welcome Orbital Reality for becoming a member. Orbital Reality just became a YouTube channel member. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support, Orbital Reality. For those unaware, if you become a YouTube channel member during a live broadcast, we give you thank you and a shout out. So there you are. Shout out to Orbital Reality, and thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. Then we have Rotary Motion, who's also a member with a longtime show supporter with a kind and generous £2 super chat. Says, check out Ashton Forbes has gone full wackadoo. Yes, we may cover that this week, Rotary Motion. And thank you for sending me the link. I appreciate that. Thank you for your kindness. AZ with a kind and generous $1.99 super chat. Thank you, AZ, for your kindness, generosity, and support. And then we've got longtime show supporter Legal Eagle, who's also a member. Thank you for being a member, is here with a kind and generous $10 super chat. Says, a little donation towards the hibachi to cook the bison steak on. I forget every time. Eventually, I will remember. But we thank you all for your kindness, generosity, and support of the show. It is much, much appreciated. Thank you all for helping us to praise the cash.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
All right, we're going to continue with our journey here. A lot more clips to get through.
They want you to know that we already could build spaceships. They don't want you to know that there are
Yeah, we could already build spaceships, but he can't show you one. You know, this is so childish. He's like a kid in a playground. Like, I got a laser gun. Show us the laser gun. Oh, I can't. It's top secret, or some other excuse. It's so childish.
Overt elements that already have a massive amount of these different types of spaceships. Some of them are cylindrical. There's different types that already exist out there.
There's all these spaceships, secret spaceships that exist. Is this like the Corey Good nonsense? Is that what you're repeating? Stuff from Corey Good, the proven space grifter who never been to space? Is that where you got this nugget of information that there's all these spaceships out there, David Wilcock?
And it's been a secret that's been kept secret by this global criminal element. Because once the technology comes out, you've got anti-gravity, you've got free energy. People don't need to pay money for their energy. And about 80% of all the bills that you have to do with energy.
Yeah, these are free energy grifter talking points. And the history of people making these promises, remember, David Wilcock taught a course in free energy and told everybody, if you give him $333, you'll be able to do it too. Yet not one person who took David Wilcock's free energy and anti-gravity course for $333 has been able to produce either free energy or anti-gravity. Nobody's been able to do that. So does that mean that he lied to everybody? And by the way, human reviewer, David Wilcock told everybody on a public YouTube live stream as he was hawking a $333 course. And by the way, he did not acknowledge that it was a sales pitch in the YouTube video. But anyway, he's telling people on YouTube videos that if you buy my $333 course, I'm going to teach you how to do free energy and anti-gravity, and you'll be able to do it too. Nobody that took his course was able to do it. Does that mean that David Wilcock is actively defrauding people on YouTube and using YouTube as a platform to find victims for his fake free energy and fake anti-gravity courses that don't work, and nobody was able to reproduce a device that worked? Could be, right? I think so, maybe.
Gas for your car, heating and cooling your home. And these kinds of things are actually what are called capital in basic Keynesian economics.
These things are called
But when you get beyond the need
fiction.
for capital to be something you pay for, you end up in a situation where people can now go off and be free-spirited. You could have a hover car with anti-gravity that powers you to be able to go into a remote area that nobody's ever lived in before, set up your own cabin out there. You have all the energy you need. You can start growing your own food, gardening, hunting, whatever you want to do. Live by a stream. You got your own drinking water. And you're free. You don't have to pay anybody. You don't have to make people money to be alive.
Yeah, so this is what's commonly known as, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. This is the false reality that David Wilcock is promising people, and he's claiming that he knows how to do this right now. Well, then why don't you tell us how to do it, David Wilcock? You took $333 from people claiming you knew how to do this. Why don't you show us the free energy device that you built that powers your home? Oh, that's right. He can't. Do you know why? Because free energy is a scam. And free energy is a fairy tale. It's fictional. It does not exist. But don't let things like facts and evidence get in the way of a good grift, swindle, or scam.
And that terrifies them because they really want your money. And so what
they want your money, not Wilcock.
The faction
they want your money.
That was part of the alliance has now been able to get into office as of 2016, and they passed a whole bunch of executive orders that are real military laws.
All right, here's where it gets ridiculous. He just said that alliance members got elected in 2016 and passed executive orders. Let's break this down. This is how ridiculous and nonsensical and childish David Wilcock's claims are. Only the president can pass an executive order, not any other elected official. So what is he saying? That Biden is part of the alliance now? Biden was always the bad guy in all of his narratives, and Trump, orange man, good, Biden, bad. Regardless of what I think of politics, that's the narrative that he's pushed. Now he's saying that they passed executive orders so this technology could be freed. Does anybody remember reading a Biden executive order that made free energy accessible to the average United States citizen? Who are these alliance members that are passing executive orders? Because that's impossible. Only the president can pass an executive order, David Wilcock. Look it up. But, this is one of the problems. David Wilcock's followers are low IQ, low information viewers. Libs, I call them, low information viewers. They don't fact check anything he says. They don't even stop to think about the ridiculousness of what David Wilcock says. Because David Wilcock just said that members of the alliance, which is a fictional organization created by an old senile con artist with a fake background, one of his fake government whistleblowers, Pete Peterson, invented the alliance. It doesn't exist. But he just said that a member of a fictional organization made up by a con artist got elected and passed an executive order allowing free energy to be released to the public. Every executive order that a president passes is on record. Go find me an executive order from Joe Biden that releases free energy technology to United States citizens. You can't find it because it doesn't exist. He's really literally talking out of his butt here. It's absolutely ridiculous that he's allowed to lie to people on YouTube like this. And by the way, human reviewer, I'm correct. Only the president can pass an executive order. And here, David Wilcock on a monetized YouTube live stream is telling his followers that there's an executive order that's been passed that's freeing free energy technology to the public. Let's hear it again so that I'm correct.
Gravity that powers you to be able to go into a remote area that nobody's ever lived in before, set up your own cabin out there. You have all the energy you need. You can start growing your own food, gardening, hunting, whatever you want to do. Live by a stream. You got your own drinking water. And you're free. You don't have to pay anybody. You don't have to make people money to be alive. And that terrifies them because they really want your money.
Yeah, they want your money, not David Wilcock. The evil cabal want your money, not him.
And so what's happened is that the faction that was part of the alliance has now been able to get into office as of 2016. And they passed a whole bunch of executive orders that are real military laws.
They passed a bunch of executive orders that are real military laws that are going to enable free energy technology for all of us. No, this is a work of fiction, David Wilcock. Thanks, some kind and generous people. Penn Taxenstein, again with the kind and generous $10 super chat, says, does he have an anti-property tax machine? Well, I don't know, but thanks for putting a smile on my face. Penn Taxenstein, thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. Thanks also for being a member. We appreciate you. Thanks for appreciating us. Penn Taxenstein, who's a member, longtime show supporter, and a wonderful super chatter. Thank you, buddy.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
Praising the cash. We've got a little more cash to praise here from Thomas Robinson. Praise the cash. Thank God Almighty, praise the cash. Protecting aliens since 1947. And Thomas Robinson is also a YouTube channel member and just threw in a kind and generous £3.99. We thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support as well. Thomas Robinson, thank you for helping us to praise the cash like a pro.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
All right, we're going to go on to the next bit of nonsense from Mr. Wilcock. Oh, you gotta love it. It just gets dumber and dumber as we go. All right. David Wilcock is telling everybody that he's the truth teller here. Oh, you gotta love it. You gotta love it, friends. David Wilcock is the truth teller. That's what he's saying. He's telling people that he's telling everybody the truth. And by the way, if you have to stop and tell people, no, really, I'm telling you the truth, it's probably because you're a liar.
So again, I feel sad that there are so many people who don't understand what's going on because the media has been compromised so greatly that if anybody were to try to tell you the truth openly, they would be attacked and destroyed immediately. It would all get spun around. So it's up to people like me and other truth tellers to connect the dots for you.
Wouldn't he get attacked immediately then if he's one of those people telling us the truth? Let's hear that again. This is so stupid.
That if anybody were to try to tell you the truth openly, they would be attacked and destroyed immediately. It would all get spun around. So it's up to people like me and other truth tellers to connect the dots for you and bring out information that you...
Well, I don't understand. Wouldn't he be attacked and destroyed immediately then if he's one of those truth tellers? This doesn't make any sense, right? He doesn't even stop to think about what he's lying about before he does it.
You've not heard before. So if you're new to this, I want you to know this is a very exciting thing.
This is also exciting. Yes, it's also exciting. Also exciting. All right. How many more do? Oh my God, we've got so many more of these. I'm going to skip some of them. I can't sit through too much more of this guy. We'll try to get to the majors. Let's go to the next one. We'll try to get through these. Rapid fire. Here, David Wilcock is claiming that both he and Ezra knew that the Trump assassination attempt was going to take place. And yet, nobody can find me a clip of either of them saying this.
And lo and behold, just days after this global cord cutting has taken place, we have an assassination attempt. This is not at all surprising. It's exactly what we were expecting to happen. I've briefed you on this before. We'll go through this again. It was when we expected it to happen.
He's never mentioned that Donald Trump would face an assassination attempt. Never. But here he is in fake psychic mode, backdating and pretending that he predicted this event. He did not. Neither did Ezra. Let's just set the record straight. David Wilcock never predicted an assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Never.
We knew there's a high threat profile. We've been talking about the fact you're not going to be waiting until November. And anybody who tells you that you are, I can't even listen to it. I'm not going to listen to it. There's so many communications I've been giving you week after week from the alliance through Shadow of Ezra, which is...
There is no alliance, and Shadow of Ezra is a Q conspiracy pusher on Telegram. That's what he's calling intel and communications. They don't come from anybody in the government. They come from a Q-tard Telegram poster.
Where it appears on X. That we now know for a fact that there's been just this absolute total redundancy on warnings that something is going to happen, something very big that will lead to arrests, that will lead to an unprecedented event, probably bigger than 9/11 in terms of its magnitude, but actually much more positive. This event includes the use of the emergency messaging system.
Oh, again, with the mass arrest and the emergency messaging system and the 3 days of darkness. He's already predicted this multiple times. And now he's repeating the prediction that never happened the first 10 times he predicted it.
Where you might not have internet, you might not have power, but your phone will start broadcasting apparently 7 different movies that the Alliance created that will explain to you what's going on. You're going to hear that people are being arrested. You're going to hear about what they were really up to. Some of these movies are going to be extremely upsetting.
He's already said 2 years ago that the arrests already happened and that there was cargo ships full of prisoners on their way to Guantanamo Bay. Now it's going to happen again, or still? Like, David Wilcock is pathetic. He is absolutely pathetic. He can't even remember. You know, that's one way to spot a liar. They have trouble remembering the lies that they told in the past. David Wilcock predicted these mass arrests and everything before. And 2 years ago, he said the mass arrests started and they're unsealing all these sealed indictments. And there's cargo ships full of prisoners on their way to Guantanamo Bay. And wouldn't you know it, none of that happened. And here he is again, predicting the same things he predicted before he said it happened when it didn't happen.
And there's no turning back. At that point, I will never be called a conspiracy theorist again. There's still going to be people who don't like it. They're going to really freak out. They don't want the truth. But what we just saw was the fulfillment of prophecy. We knew there was going to be this type of an attempt made.
We knew it, but we didn't tell anybody. If you knew there was going to be an attempt on the president's life, shouldn't you have called the Secret Service or the local police in Pennsylvania where that event was taking place? Can he show us the records that he tried to warn the authorities? Can he show us clips of him on YouTube publicly saying that there would be an attempt on President Trump's life? Of course not. He's just claiming that this is a prophecy that he predicted. This is how egotistical and self-centered and what a bloated sense of self-importance he has. He thinks he predicted this event when he never did. We listen to all of his streams. We report on them. He's never predicted that there would be an assassination attempt against Donald Trump. Never.
And we were warned about it extensively, and then lo and behold, it happened.
We were warned about it, but we didn't say anything. He kept that to himself somehow. You know, does this make any sense to anybody else? It's just, it's so nonsensical and childish and ridiculous. Oh, I predicted it. Great. Show us the prediction. Show us, give me the timestamp of when you predicted this, David Wilcock. Oh, I can't, but I was warned about this. I predicted it. No, you didn't. You never predicted that event. He never predicted anything like this event. Never. How much more? I lost my place. All right, we're going to... 1 second here. Oh, David Wilcock is saying he doesn't want to be worshipped. So that's good to know. He doesn't want to be worshipped. Don't worship him.
So a lot of times we worship the sources of inspiration that we get, and that's inappropriate. I don't want people worshiping me. I've never allowed a group to form around me. I've never allowed any type of weekly meetings or anybody to even really come in my physical space and be a support group. I've been very, very alone, and I don't want people to do that. I don't want to have a cultish mentality. That's why for 2 years after my divorce, I basically didn't even do anything. I wasn't doing videos. I just worked on Michael prophecies, and I was happy.
Yeah, he was hiding because the Corey Good revelations came out, proving that he had lied to people for 5 years straight.
I don't need to be a public figure. I don't need to have, how many we got? 5,300 people are watching right now already. I mean, that's great. And I thank you for being here. But the point is, you don't want that to control you. You don't want
Mr. Reluctant Hero all of a sudden.
to be attached.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be worshipped. He just wants everybody to send him tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars a month so that he can live a millionaire's lifestyle while everybody else in the United States and in the world largely is struggling just to make ends meet.
To being a public figure, to your fame, to your success, you want to be able, as a spiritual seeker, to be just as happy by yourself as you are with the adulation from others. And I live by that. I'm very happy alone. In fact, in some ways, it's preferable. But what I see now,
Or nobody can stand him and his constant lying, so he can't have anybody in his life. Like, could you imagine him being a family man with children? Like, well, dad's got to go lie on the internet today. No, he's a despicable human being who has been lying to people for decades on the internet to become rich. And, like, what would you call it? Like, FG or H level celebrity. He was on Ancient Aliens, which is a completely and totally fake show filled with fake facts and fake science. It's not something to be proud of, Mr. Wilcock. You've lied to people for your entire life. You lie to people every day to maintain your millionaire's lifestyle. There's going to be a karmic debt, Mr. Wilcock. You talk about karma yourself. You should know that you can't get away with lying to people for decades. Karma's going to come calling.
how is that I have an obligation to share what I know because the world is in trouble. And if I don't share what I know, then everybody else suffers along with me because I believe that I have information that's very valuable.
Oh, it's so valuable that it's wrong every single time. Listen, misinformation and disinformation has no value, Mr. Wilcock. If it's so valuable, why are you struggling to make ends meet with, a paltry $10,000 a month on YouTube?
And the numbers support that. I have almost unilateral support. Very, very, very small number of haters. It's like 0.0001%.
I think he vastly underestimates how many people don't like him on the internet, but maybe that's just me. I mean, I don't know, right? Let's move on to the next clip. Wilcock is, in this clip, he's talking about evil feeding off of anger. Meanwhile, he was so angry that he was threatening to sue all of his critics 2 weeks ago, right?
Now, there is an energetic component to this. It's very fascinating. The negative extraterrestrials actually feed on your fear, your anger, your sadness, your depression. If you're feeling bad, they are sucking energy from you.
And of course, he can't even prove that these negative extraterrestrials exist, but he'll tell you all about how it works, right?
And so we hear from many different insiders.
Oh, you mean your fake government insiders like Corey Good? Your fake government insiders like Pete Peterson or Bill Brockbrader? Remember him? He was a court-martialed child molester that you used for a source with Kerry Cassidy. That fake, right? His fake government insiders are telling him this stuff, and he's just repeating it.
That this is called loosh. And so one of the sayings is give Lucius his loosh. And so loosh represents, just like if you have ants, right? Ants will go out there and they will eat feces. If your dog poops, you'll get bugs on it, and the bugs just think that stuff is delicious.
Oh, great.
Well, in
Bugs-eating
energetic
crap
worlds,
now.
we have positive and negative beings. Negative beings feed on this negative energy. And what will happen is that people who are psychopathic, especially when they disassociate into that rage child personality, there is a very direct telepathic link that they have with negative entities. So when you start arguing with somebody who goes into a rage tantrum, you're arguing with them and you're arguing with demonic entities that telepathically couple with them. And those demonic entities feed them when they attack you. And typically what it feels like is kind of this rush in the chest. It's this sort of high that you get. And it actually does create a secretion of serotonin, endorphins. It has a morphine opiate-like effect on the brain.
Isn't it great that it could give you all these details about a race of aliens he can't prove exists?
So this is partly biological, but there's also an energetic component where the negative entity will take most of the energy, but then it will kick some back to you, and you will get high off of bringing another person into a state of severe distress. And again, you can kind of feel it as this rush in your chest, this kind of feeling of high, this power dominance thing. You get this invigorating rush. You feel very alive.
Oh, it's our fault. We're feeding the negative ETs.
While you're being angry and while you're dominating someone.
Dominating someone. Okay. If he says so, I mean, I guess. Let's go to the next clip. But before we do, Spooky, it correctly points out, thanks for the super chat, £1.99 says, he predicted mass arrests in 2012. No, he predicted mass arrests first in 1998. And I think I have the source for that, which was his original website, ascension2000.com. He was predicting mass arrests in 1998, Spooky. But I'm sure that he's predicted mass arrests many, many times. One of them, you're likely correct, being in 2012. But thank you for that.
Raise the cash, raise the cash, raise the cash.
We're praising the cash pretty good. Get those super chats in. For those unaware, we read every single super chat. So if you're feeling generous, and I hope you are, Russian science. He's always quoting these Russian fake scientists. And here, David Wilcock is talking about his massage therapy, because that's what we all want to hear about. David Wilcock getting rub and tugs or massages. Yeah.
Therapeutic massage can actually heal this damage. And this is what we call the initiation of the body. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is that if you actually do this type of therapy that my therapist does called SE, or somatic experiencing, then what happens is they will have you hold on to a traumatic memory in your mind, something very upsetting. They don't even have you tell them what it is. You don't ever talk about what the memory is.
There's another one. Thank you.
They just have you follow the memory as you're holding it in your mind.
Just follow the memory while you're praising the cash.
Where does it feel strange? So, like, for example, the only time my father really ever hit me was that he poked me in the shoulder with his index finger, like, a bunch of times. Don't you ever say F you to me again. And it was like jabbing me really strong. I had a bruise from it. It's the only time he ever actually did anything like that.
Is he saying that his daddy beat him with a poker? What? Poked him?
Well, it turned out that when I had other events happen that reminded me of that trauma, I started to get this glaring pain in that part of my arm. And this is just one example. So it also turns out that I had injuries that were caused by bullies, such as they threw me down Monkey Hill, which was a very steep ski slope, on my saucer, and I got airborne off of the jump, which you're not supposed to do. You're supposed to lean in, but I'd never practiced. I fell 30 feet through the air. The saucer shattered, and I had extensive damage to the soft tissue in my right hip area. And so then when it got to be COVID time, and I started to eat, takeout every day and have it delivered to the house, next thing you know, I can't bend over more than halfway. I had arthritis. I needed my wife to help me tie my shoes. And that's when I began getting therapeutic massage.
He starts getting therapeutic massage. I don't even know what to say about this one. Let me know what you think. Initiation of the body is what the plow guy does to his... Oh, I can't read that. Sorry. The plow guy. Oh, geez. Oh, geez. Now, here's where it starts to get ridiculous. Really ridiculous. Let me share my screen once again. This is fair use.
And what they say in the Kabbalistic tradition is that you have holes in your aura. Now, they don't talk about the cords necessarily, but the
David Wilcock is talking about the holes.
Holes are where the cords are getting in. So when somebody is abusing you, they're actually draining energy from your body, and the spigot or the nozzle is actually where you had the injury. That's where there's a negative entity that can create sort of like an electrical outlet.
Sounds like Scientology, body thetans.
To cause your energy to drain out of your body, to go through this cord and go into somebody else. So what you have to do in order to get this vessel to not have a bunch of holes in it is you have to plug the holes.
You have to plug the holes. My God, friends. He's talking, he's on a public live stream talking about plugging holes after he said that his holes were abused. You remember that, right? And here he's pushing global ascension again. For those unaware, He told everybody before the year 2000 that there would be a huge global ascension event and we'd all get superpowers. And then nothing happened. And then in 2012, he pulled that again. In the lead up to 2012, he said in 2012 there'd be a mass solar event and a global ascension event. We'd all get light bodies and telekinetic superpowers. We'd be able to levitate and telepathically communicate. In other words, we'd all get superpowers. Now he's predicting the very same thing again.
And we are going to have this global ascension event. Now, is it going to be rainbow body activation? No. There's a difference between what we like to call it the touchdown ascension versus the field goal ascension. The touchdown is rainbow body activation, 13 years, no negative thoughts. But the field goal ascension is that you go into your fourth density body, and that's where we are headed as we go through this next shift. So the public cut off the money, and the cabal says, you know what, our back is up against the wall. And this is a very, very important point. When you cut the cords with a psychopath, they're going to get a lot worse.
Is he going to write the whole?
Have to go through what
write a course on plugging the holes.
Tibetans call it as well. The biting through process is where once you
plugging the holes, now we're biting through.
Supply anymore. They're not getting to feed off of you anymore. And we are going to have this global ascension event.
Can't say I disagree with you.
Rainbow body activation? No. There's a difference between, we could like to call it the touchdown ascension versus the field goal ascension.
Okay. Global ascension again. And how many times is he going to predict global ascension and then it never happens, right? Like, but okay. And here he is again lying about the Trump event. You know, no shame whatsoever. Somebody tragically lost their lives, and here he is grifting off of that event. You know, and despite what you think of President Trump, I'm neither a supporter or a detractor of President Trump, but as a tragic event, the man's got, you know, what does he have? 5 children and 5 grandchildren. He could have been killed if that bullet was 1 centimeter to the right or whatever. And here, David Wilcock is shamelessly grifting off of that event where tragically people were killed, people were horrifically injured. And let's also remember that if you're ever in a situation where there's gunfire and all that chaos, think about all the psychological trauma that everybody that did survive. A lot of people are going to need counseling. I mean, it's just a horrifically tragic event, what happened, and here he is shamelessly grifting off of it.
The day after is when they lash out, and now you have this headline on the New York Post. Trump shot. And this amazing photograph that was created. He survived the assassination bid. This is a divine intervention. It's very strange. How the hell did it hit him in the ear? Clearly, the person who did it was real. They really wanted to hurt him. This was on TG. It's the first thing I saw when I woke up, and it said Trump is safe. I'm like, well, safe from what? What the heck is going on here? Why are they showing his son? What is this? And then I had to go and look, and this was the next thing I saw, where it says shots fired at the Trump rally. I watched this video. I could not even believe it. And he was covered in blood after an attempt, but he was okay. And this is where I'm like, oh my gosh, he got hit in the ear in almost the exact same way that I got hit in the ear right over here. You know, this is something I've lived with my whole life, ever since 8th grade, a round hole in my ear. And it's like almost exactly the same size, the same round hole. It's very, very peculiar because my body was built for this. You know?
Oh, so David Wilcock got hit in the ear in 8th grade. And somehow that's significant and just like Donald Trump getting his ear literally almost shot off. Oh, it's the same thing. Jesus Christ.
Now I got this injury way back in 8th grade. So then this was the headline on Zero Hedge. He's bleeding and rushed off the stage after an assassination attempt, touched his neck as the shots rang out. So now I'm going to show you the pictures I was looking at as this happened. And they are a little bit, you know, unpleasant, but we've all seen them by now. It's not that bad. I mean, gosh, everything on TV looks worse. So this is the close-up where you can see the actual bullet hole, and that there's one hole, and it's so close to his head, it's unbelievable. And again, you know, it's very, very similar to what I have here. So once more, you know, here's his image, okay? And then here's where mine is. You can see right along the edge here, it's kind of wider in the middle, and there's this ring right here. See if I make that look right. So
Somebody probably socked David Wilcock in the ear for saying stupid shit in 8th grade, but somehow this is relevant to Trump's assassination. Notice how he always makes everything about him. Everything is about him. The former president almost gets shot and killed and shot in the head, almost has his head, blown off on national television. David Wilcock's going to make it about him, though.
right. So it's pretty phenomenal, because it's like there's some type of karmic connection between the two of us. And, you can heal this pretty well. I mean, they'll probably end up doing a skin graft. People are saying, why is it so small? Well, that's because the skin stretched as the bullet went through. So the hole is actually small.
Notice that David Wilcock is a ballistics and forensics expert all of a sudden. You ever notice that? He's like an expert on everything that happens.
Smaller because there was a stretching effect that happened from the velocity of the impact.
Yeah, he's a
But
ballistic
again, it
expert.
really tripped me out that, like, okay, I'm asleep, and then this happens while I'm asleep, and I'm all depressed, and I've had this terrible, terrible pain in my head caused by this crazy massage that I just had, where on both sides, I've got these huge, huge black and blue marks, okay?
Jesus Christ, what the hell kind of massage is he getting? What the hell kind of massage is he getting? Look at them. Those look like big bruises. Like, what was the bitch punching him out while she was... Jesus Christ, what the hell? What the hell are we looking at here?
Caused by getting my cords cut and getting the massage done so that I have no more problems.
He's getting his cords cut, so he has no more problems. What does that even mean? I don't know. Does anybody ever have a massage where they get bruised like that? I mean, I don't know. Now he's going to be now he's calling this shooter a nerd, which I think is just hysterical. David talking about the Trump shooter. Does it sound like he's describing himself? Big forehead and nasty hair. Yeah.
So, you can tell this guy's got a lot of he's got mottled on his face. He looks very unhealthy. His hair hasn't been washed. He looks very sickly. And, this is a nerd. This is a guy who doesn't fit in. And maybe some group gave him purpose, and he decided to channel all of his own self-hatred onto this political figure who has everything that he felt like he didn't have. He's got the money. He's got the fame. He's got all this kind of stuff.
David Wilcock calling somebody else a nerd. That really makes a lot of sense, right? Jeez. And of course, he's a photo analyst expert as well. Great. Let's look at this one.
You've got Trump with his fist in the air. You've got the soldiers with their fists in the air. You've got the American flag. It's flapping in the wind.
He took this straight from Telegram Q-Tard post.
And of course, Trump, as we believe, is the reincarnation of General Patton from World War II. And here's these guys in uniforms that are similar to what Patton used to wear. So this is...
I just want to say there's no evidence or proof that Donald Trump is anybody reincarnated. This is just a delusional fantasy.
Extremely fascinating. And I do not dismiss this as just a coincidence. I think this is actually something real. I think that this whole event was staged on a higher level so that he wouldn't get hit and killed, but it would only graze him in the ear. It's fascinating that my ear had the very similar looking injury when I was in 8th grade, back when I was only, 13 years old, 12 years old, something like that.
Oh, so David Wilcock is directly connected to Trump somehow. They have similar injuries.
And it has such a neat comparison with Iwo Jima, this image of Iwo Jima. It's like, wow. I mean, you can't dispute this stuff, folks. There's too many similarities. It's very, very interesting.
Wow. I don't even know what to say about him grifting off of this. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Oh, this is great. They wanted, according to David Wilcock, they wanted Trump on house arrest.
So wait for it. It's about to get really heavy. What's next? The house arrest. Well, the DS blocked that from happening. The Supremes actually said, nope, He has immunity as president, so there was no arrest, and they probably just wanted to make sure this prophecy didn't come true. So wait for.
So they wanted Donald Trump on house arrest, but the deep state stopped it. I thought that David Wilcock, I thought that Trump is the alliance. Why would the deep state help him? God, he's got so many plot holes in these stupid stories of his. So many plot holes. So now he's getting messages from other QTAR posters, including Storm Rider. We're going to skip that one. Okay, so David Wilcock had terrible pains leading up to the attempt on Donald Trump's life. That's somehow proof that he's connected to Donald Trump.
Terrible pain leading up to the event. And now that prophetic dream from June 14th comes into focus, where there was an attempt on Trump's life. I had a dream about this.
Yeah, so he had a dream that there was an attempt on Trump's life on June 14th, but he didn't talk about it on June 14th. He's talking about it now that the event already happened. This is what fake psychics do. They just make clear, oh, yeah, I dreamed this. I had a prophetic dream that this would happen on June 14th last month. Well, why didn't you talk about it? Why didn't you talk about it on your show, David Wilcock?
And it happened right in front of me. They cut him on the arm. And this is another weird thing. I have I don't know if you can really see this, but there's a scar on my arm right here. Let's see if I can get it in focus.
That's not a scar.
I have a little white scar right here. I don't know if you can see that. But let's try. I'll do it over on 7.
I agree, Rugged Source. 100%.
This scar actually showed up in the dream.
I was a stage magician. I know a lot about forcing.
Am I in focus there? It's hard to tell. Okay. So it's right here.
You're right, Badge.
Anyway, this is exactly where he got cut on the arm. And it's interesting because in my dream, that's where the wound
intel
was.
comes from
then we both got this very
theories.
similar
Yes.
wound on the ear. I've been living with this thing my whole life. Okay.
You're right, Flubber
So now I
Lane.
want to read you this
Takes it all
prophetic
in.
dream. And anybody who tries to say, oh, David is a fraud, David is a phony, David is a fake. No. The Alliance can confirm later on. I'm sure this will happen. I did not add anything to this.
So his fake fictional organization, the Alliance, will confirm that he's not a fraud. And meanwhile, the Alliance came from his fraud source, Pete Peterson, who was a fake government whistleblower that never worked for the government. This is great circular logic, David Wilcock.
So weird. What you're about to read is so prophetic. And I would also say
It's not
this
prophetic
is about the
at all.
halfway mark. So if you want to leave it on a cliffhanger, if you need to go to sleep, we still got 5,400 people watching. This would be a good time to pause it and then come back because we're at the.
Oh, he's giving everybody
mid-
permission to
show.
stop watching
It
his
is probably going to
shit
take me
show.
4 hours to get through all this stuff. But again, it's not every week that somebody tries to shoot the former president. So, wow. I mean, yeah, we're going to go for as long as it needs to get through this stuff. So I also have cached versions of the file as well.
Exactly.
So
Dina.
again, if I were to lie about this, if I tried to, first of all, I didn't have any time. The event just happened yesterday. I was laid up in bed with these scars on my body that you can see. I had terrible pain right here, right next to where the ear is, where he got hit. And when the tent pole hit me, it also created a huge dent and bruise in my skull here. So this is the same thing. I had the same kind of pain on the other side of my skull, right next to where the bullet hit him. I had this terrible pain. I'm lying in bed. I wanted.
I love how he's making this national crisis-like tragedy and event all about him and all connected to him because he's so important, right?
to sleep during the day. I didn't even know if I wanted to do a show. I was thinking about canceling it. I was depressed. I was even like, maybe I should just use again, give up my sobriety because I'm just in a big mess here. The pain is so much, and it is a painkiller. Maybe I need painkillers. So anyway, it's in cached versions of my file on my computer. And if I were to lie and make up something like this, the Alliance would know. And then
the fake organization invented by his fake whistleblower would know and call him out. This is so stupid.
I wouldn't have their trust anymore. I wouldn't have their respect anymore. They would know that I was a liar. And because they can look at my computer and they're always looking at it and they're seeing what I write.
The Alliance is always looking at his computer. The fake organization that he and a career con artist, Pete Peterson, invented are always looking at his computer. And they can verify that his prophecies are real. His imaginary friends This is how stupid this gets. His imaginary friends are going to confirm that his predictions are real.
And a lot of times these Ezra posts directly respond to those things.
Oh my God. I don't even know anymore. I don't even know anymore. All right, we're closing in. He believes, David Wilcock believes that Trump is going to give him a job once he wins the presidency. And here's a clip about that.
I was definitely working in some governmental capacity with the alliance, which I think is going to happen after the arrests. I'm quite confident that they're going to have me doing something. And
after the mass arrests, David Wilcock is going to be hired by the government. Sure.
I've already said I'll take whatever job they want me to have. They want me to serve, I'm going to serve, okay? Because I've earned this. I've been working really hard. I've put my life on the line just like he has. And
he just said he put his life on the line, just like he has. Somebody just tried to blow Donald Trump's brains out on national television. Oh, by the way, I just now realizing new headphones and they're backwards. That's better. Now that'll hang the right way. So I apologize. Isn't it wonderful that he's telling people that he's risking his life and comparing himself to a man who just almost had his brains blown out on national television by an assassin? I mean, come on, David Wilcock. You sell people fake stories on YouTube for money. There's no compare. Like, despite every criticism I have for Donald Trump, he is risking his life at those rallies. That is apparent now. And you sell people fake stories on the internet, but you're going to say that you're risking your life?
put my life on the line just like he has.
I put my life on the line.
And I have equal risks in every possible way. So this is a very real threat profile.
He has equal risks to Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the most threatened man in the United States right now, probably, if not the world. And it's just nonsensical that David Wilcock would compare this, I'm putting my life on the line just like Donald Trump. No, you're not. How are you risking your life selling fake stories? Selling fake stories on the internet is not risking your life. Sorry, not sorry, Okay, sorry, lost my place. Got it back. All right, let's see this next part. Oh, here's where we get where David Wilcock claims that he moved the bullet. When Donald Trump was almost assassinated, David Wilcock somehow moved the bullet with his telekinetic superpowers. And remember, how did he get those telekinetic superpowers? He got those telekinetic superpowers by taking baths in his own urine because the Archangel Michael told him to take baths in his own urine. So I guess the Archangel Michael wanted to save Donald Trump, and the only way to do it was to have Donald Trump take multiple baths in his own urine to get telekinetic superpowers so that David Wilcock could use those telekinetic superpowers to move the bullet away from Donald Trump's head.
And at some parts of this dream, when I got involved with this military group, they were training me in martial arts and military warfare techniques. I had a long part of the dream I couldn't remember when I woke up, which pissed me off. But I discovered in the course of their training that I now had incredible telekinetic ability. It almost seemed as if we stumbled over it. I wasn't being trained in this particular thing, but then we all discovered that I actually could do this. Check this out, guys. I somehow had gained the ability to stop or bend a bullet. I didn't mention that part, but it was in the dream. To stop or bend a bullet as it was going through the air.
So now is where we get to the ridiculousness. David Wilcock is claiming that because he had a dream where he could stop bullets, that it must have been him that stopped the bullet from killing Trump. I'm going to say that again. He's claiming because he had a dream where he had telekinetic superpowers and could stop bullets, it must have been him that stopped the bullet from harming President Trump.
I now knew that I could always do this because of the distinct way that it felt. Now, this is very strange because 2 different times I tried to type distinct and instead it auto-corrected to distance. So I put that in parentheses as distance. And isn't it interesting that Trump was shot at from a distance? And then there was another sniper who got the guy from the Secret Service, and that was shot at a distance. So this again was a weird synchronicity, a typing synchronicity, showing that it would be a shot from a distance. And I would stop this bullet going through the air that was shot from a distance. Very, very interesting. I noticed there was a certain pull that the bullet had once it was airborne. I was able to feel this telekinetically. I could just feel it in motion, and then I could immediately drain the pull out of the bullet and change its trajectory. In the dream, this was an absolute certainty. I had a direct knowing. This is so fascinating. It's so prophetic.
It's so prophetic. Look, I stopped the bullet with my telekinetic superpowers because I dreamed about it.
Of course, he was shot at, and it looks like some divine force bent the bullet. Well, that's exactly what my dream was about. Pete Peterson had talked about...
Pete Peterson, the fake government whistleblower who invented the alliance. Pete Peterson, who lied and said he worked for Ronald Reagan, lied and said he worked for the Russian equivalent of NASA, lied and said he won the Russian Order of Lenin Award. Anybody can check the list. Pete Peterson never won it. Pete Peterson, who lied and said he was an early digital pioneer and created the first alphanumeric computer, beating Apple and Commodore and Tandy and to market and Apple to market. He's a complete and total liar, and he's citing him as a source here.
Covert military practices where people trained in these psychic arts were taught to stop bullets. They would wear this thick glove on their hand, and you're out there and they shoot it next to you, and you learn to tune in, and your hand has to start moving before they pull the trigger. And these people apparently were able to actually grab the bullet with this very thick, it was like a welding glove.
This is how his superpowers work.
Grab the bullet as it went through the air, and they would train them to be able to do this. Now, I didn't know if I really believed it. I mean, it sounded very fanciful, sounded like the Matrix. But in my dream, I actually had this technique, and I was able to master this technique. I also set it up like a program, so the stopping of the bullet would happen automatically. I didn't even have to think about it. My body would just move. And again, this seems to reflect, as I wrote at the time, Michael's angelic protection and how I have not authorized.
Oh my goodness. David Wilcock is claiming that he can stop bullets with his telekinetic superpowers. And I'm hesitant to even say it, but I'd sure like to see a demonstration of that, right? Show us. Like, think about how ridiculous this is. Like, would David Wilcock ever prove that this is a real ability, or is this just something that he dreams about, right? It's so stupid. Oh, my goodness. 1 second here. Let me just check on something here. One second, friends. Oh, gosh. All right, let's go through. We don't have too many more clips here. Yeah, so here he is claiming that he saved Donald Trump. He saved Donald Trump from being assassinated, and his viewers believe this too.
You see right here. I think you remote protected DJT, love you from Olive and family. Well, I don't want to say that, but that's what the dream strongly implies, that I had the honor of being the one who got to do this telekinetically on the soul level, and that would make sense that the beings had to have me asleep while this was happening.
He just said that he telepathically stopped the bullet and saved Donald Trump's life. Well, whoa. Thank you, David Wilcock. You saved the former president's life by telepathically stopping the bullet. Oh my God. It's just the ridiculously of this, right? The ridiculousness of this. It just gets stupider and stupider.
I woke up again at 8.
We got a few more clips to get through. Here we go. Oh, I'm already sharing. Okay.
I woke up again at 8:36 a.m. This is a photograph from the same day in my journal. And again, if I lied, the alliance would know and they'd cut me off. And I don't want to get cut off.
What a stupid prover maneuver. Like, I'm not lying because a fictional organization that my con artist source made up would call me out on my lies. Okay, but that organization doesn't exist, David Wilcock. It was made up by a con artist source of yours.
Why in the world would I want to make this stuff up? I've got an amazing track record in Michael prophecies. He's accurate prophecies on almost.
He's got an amazing track record of failure. 2020 failed predictions. 2000 failed predictions. Nothing he says ever happens. The global ascension event that he predicted in 2000 and 2012, that stuff never happened. But now he's claiming he's completely accurate as a prophet. No, he's not. The angel in his book said that Corey Good's information was completely and totally accurate. 1 week later, Corey Good was in court admitting that he'd never been to space and he made up all those stories. David Wilcock is about as accurate as a crackhead holding a gas can telling you he needs gas money to get home.
Every page highlighted and read through all 7 of the books. I felt like I wasn't sleeping on this round and I got cheated out of another cycle. As a result, I had a type of slipstream dream come in, but I mostly ignored it. This means that I don't even notice that I slept, but then I kind of I'm lying there in bed and I'm like, oh, I think I just had a dream. Doesn't seem like I slept, but yeah, now I'm remembering this dream. That's what that means, slipstream. I didn't try hard enough to capture the data. However, I did bring back something. So now we're going to read the whole thing. And I already read you guys this stuff. So I didn't try hard enough to capture the data. However, I did.
It just gets dumber and
now
dumber.
Now we're going to go on from here because I translated into slides.
It gets
and again, I did all this last night. I was up until 2:30 in the morning working on this stuff. In this case, it seemed as if the events in the previous dream, which is the Trump assassination attempt, were known to everyone. And then it inspired Mike Adams to become far more professional and cinematic as a filmmaker. He set up an entire film shoot on a beach area. Now, this is talking about how when this type of thing happens and there's divine intervention, it's very fascinating. People do get inspired. They do jump up and they want to do more. They want to get more involved. They want to have better production value. And in fact, Mike has done that. He's now got, he's doing his own movies and he's really.
Yeah, Mike Adams is a garbage peddler like David Wilcock.
He stepped up his game. Plus, he's been on the air with Alex, which is wonderful. So he set up an entire film shoot on a beach area. It seemed as if he was working with the same people or some of the same people who had supposedly done levitation. The film is now kind of in limbo. I got to find out what's going on. I don't really have a lot of information.
Yeah, so David Wilcock was bragging about this levitation film. And remember, that's where he was going to spend $5,000 a night on, I think it was $5,000 a night on an Airbnb, but it smelled like cat piss and it was too loud. And he did a whole stream about that. It's on an M5 PowerPoint. It's all real, says Pete Berry. Yeah. Oh my God. It just gets dumber and dumber and dumber. All right, but we're almost through the stupidity. We've got 5 more clips to go. Oh, we're going to skip the Trojan horse. He doesn't know what a Trojan horse is, apparently. Guy with a 180 IQ. And he's had another prophetic dream. Another prophetic dream. Imagine that. Just when he needs material to share with his to his stupid followers, he keeps having prophetic dreams.
Now I had another dream. I was up in the middle of the night. Actually, my dog is probably very close to dying now. She gets these horrible necrotic farts in the middle of the night. So I was just about to go to sleep. It was like 1:30 in the morning. I was finally winding down.
Horrible necrotic farts. You heard it here, friends.
And the room just gets gassed out so bad. And I had to actually turn the fan on, open up the door, and literally just air out the room because it was so disgusting. I mean, I could have tried to come down here and sleep downstairs, but this bed tends to be a lot hotter. And this is one of the hottest nights of the year we had last night. It got up to like 85 here, which is about as hot as we ever get.
Necrotic farts. He's talking about necrotic farts on his show. All right, friends, just a few more. Just a few more, and we will be finished with this nonsense for this week anyway. More dreams. And I'm here to tell you, I'm sorry, David Wilcock, dreams don't really mean anything. He thinks that everything he dreams is of utmost global importance, and he has to share it with the world.
Behind the scenes. And this is like talking about the videos that we're going to get after the arrests take place. I think that's prophetic of what this is going to be.
The mass arrests are going to happen, and then we're going to get videos from the Alliance, a fictional organization invented by his con artist source that wasn't who he said he was.
At the same time, they were serving 3 different types of baked sweet goods and giving you the option to have them frosted if you wanted. Apparently, the baked goods were done with good quality sugar, so it wasn't that bad. They were gluten-free. I ended up getting the last cupcake they had, and the frosting was chocolate, so it looked like poop. Okay, and my dog keeps pooping. Like she leaves skid marks on the carpet. Another baked good was more like a mini loaf of bread. So this was cake eaters and BS because of the color of the chocolate frosting.
What the hell is he talking about?
Well, I've been watching episodes of SEAL Team. I'm learning a lot about the military from it. It seems to be helpful for my company.
He's learning about the military from watching a TV show called SEAL Team.
And I just like the show. And so when they are talking about high-ranking politicians and military officials, they call them cake eaters. After the idea of Marie Antoinette, let them eat cake, meaning that, hey, you know what? She didn't mind that people were starving. If they don't have any bread, just let them eat cake.
Wow. Another history lesson from David Wilcock. Very, very, very important. All right. Just a few more, and we can end this nightmare. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills every time I listen to this guy.
That they were holding. This was in Western New York is what it appeared like, but it could have been Pennsylvania too. So that's why this is very related to what happened.
He's having dreams and getting information from Navy SEALs. Soon he's going to say he is a Navy SEAL.
There's another guy who seemed to be a representative of the body there. There was a woman who had been at the event and was similar to the newbie Clay Spencer's ideal military girlfriend, Stella, from the SEAL Team show. Now, I did add in the name Stella because at this point I didn't remember what her name was, so I just typed it in after the fact. That is an addition I made. He just proposed marriage to her in the last episode after being injured.
So he's telling people about a television show. What does this have to do with anything? He's like, oh, I watched this television show, and then I had a dream about it, so I got to tell everybody about this.
And before a 3-month deployment. Well, this is another really weird synchronicity, folks.
Oh, my God.
Because Stella was in the dream, and Clay had just been shot, but the chest plate blocked the shot from killing him. He had this big bruise on his chest. And then right after he got shot, he said, will you marry me? And he held up this little piece of string. He ended up
probably true, the watcher.
Proposal because he popped it on her at a bad time. But this again
is
prophetic of Trump nearly being killed. He was shot. He was wounded, just like Clay Spencer got wounded in the show. So this is
I watched a television show where somebody got wounded. So that's prophetic. I mean, talk about stretching things to, pretend that you're a prophet.
Very direct tie-in once again with the assassination attempt. I probably should have put some yellow in there, but I'm only seeing this now. The girl was definitely attracted to me. We were flirting with each other. I've had several dreams about getting together with somebody lately. I don't know who it is yet. No idea, but it might happen in the future. The coordinator was taking us around the facility as a team. There was no doubt that we were talking about using this facility for production of aircraft, that kind of thing. But now I was also aware that it had a strange history of this organization we've been talking about, the Eye.
Yes.
And they had actually done demonic ceremonial magic there.
Ooh.
So again,
scary.
This is evocative. It looked like Pennsylvania. It was evocative of where the assassination attempt took place.
Oh, I dreamed something and it looked like Pennsylvania, so it must be a prophetic dream.
Stella,
my God,
I've just seen him nearly get killed from being shot, but he didn't die from the gunshot wound.
Wet dreams now. FFS. Yes.
So again, if they're trying to shoot him in open air, and if they had succeeded,
it's a dream if he says a woman fancies him.
Intended to create more demonic power for them on Earth. That's what they wanted to do. So this is all very relevant.
This is not
You're
relevant
partially
at all.
aware that we had to clear out these energies, and then we did this by going into a back room. So now that the assassination attempt failed, this is talking about how that is healed and how it's cleared up, okay? If you can follow that. So he took me into a back room, and they were training military SEAL-type teams to invade buildings and take down enemies, and it all still had this rustic Northeast farmhouse feel to it. The various events.
Oh, my goodness. God gracious. One more. All right. And Macario says, I had to skip the Ezra garbage and everything he repeated from past weeks. Too long a day to waste on that. Here is the last clip of Wilcock talking about the same scars as Trump and saving his life. I'd almost rather David and Stavati sue me than have to have him repeat the same garbage in another live stream. And thanks to Macario for making these clips so we don't have to sit through 4 hours of David Wilcock nonsense.
So we've seen something that people can't imagine. I got this thing on my left ear. It's this weird circular scar. The tent pole cut a nice perfect hole, like a cookie cutter in a perfect ring. It's exactly like a bullet hole. It's a very, very strange thing, isn't it?
He's comparing somebody that got shot and got their ear blown off to a tent pole hit him in the ear when he was in 8th grade. It's the same thing, guys. So stupid.
That I ended up with this injury in 8th grade when I was like, 12 or 13 years old. And now at this point in my life, I have these prophetic dreams that are astoundingly accurate.
They're not at all accurate. Why didn't he tell us about the Trump being assassinated or an attempt on the president's life on June 14th when he claims that he predicted it? I mean, this is just so stupid. It's like me reading the newspaper tomorrow and then telling you, oh, I dreamed that last month. Trust me, bro. I dreamed this headline last month. Why didn't he talk about an attempt on Trump's life before the event happened? He never did. This is just more garbage peddled nonsense for his dumb as rocks followers. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to practice more loving kindness, but if you believe a word this man says after his decades-long history of pathological lying and making up fake stories and grifting secret space nonsense with admitted fabricators of fake stories in the form of Corey Good, then I can't help you. If you listen to David Wilcock and believe anything he says, then I'm sorry, I believe that you're dumb as rocks.
Before this happened, about an attempt on Trump's life, in the same dream where he was stabbed in the arm, just like I have right here on my arm. There's a scar right here.
So what does him having a dream about Trump being stabbed in the arm have to do with an assassination attempt?
Okay, you can maybe see it.
And what does him having a scar on his arm have anything to do with this? This guy is really grasping for straws for material to convince his dumb as rocks followers, who, by the way, believe all this. That's how you know his followers are dumb as rocks, is because they believe this man. It is just the wacky world of Wilcock. That's the only thing I can say.
Then I'm also stopping bullets and bending bullets in that dream. Was it me on the higher level? I have no idea. I mean, it would be awesome if it was. It implies that it was. I don't remember that happening. It wasn't in my dream.
I don't remember me stopping the assassination of Trump, but earlier in my broadcast, I basically said that, yes, I bent the bullet and I changed the trajectory of the bullet with my telekinetic superpowers, which, by the way, I got those telekinetic superpowers from taking baths in my own urine. I have said that previously.
But we have all these interesting dreams. Right before the shooting happened, I had a dream. While you see a chance, take it. So we've seen...
All right, we made it through. I can't take any more of this guy. It's like, what do I even say here? He's claiming that he predicted the assassination attempt on Trump, yet he's never spoken about that publicly before it happened. That's how you know that it's a con or a swindle. If he had truly predicted it before and he could show a clip of him predicting it, I would give it to him. But that's not what we get. I'll take some comments and questions from the live chat before we wrap things up. Arlene Atkins Zell says, he is confusing reality with the Matrix movie. Yeah, he confuses reality with a lot of movies. I agree, Arlene. He has just miscommunicated that we all feel that we had the feeling that something was bound to happen. Yeah, good, very good point. Very good point. Yeah, 180 IQ, wrong ear. He's describing his psychotic features. Yes. Oh, geez. Yes. Above the Clouds, thanks for being a member, says he's not the only grifter, but definitely the funniest unintentionally. Yes, and Trolley Troll Troll says Wilcock said so himself. The idea of having sex with a woman makes him physically ill. Yeah, what does that mean? Wilcock is Jagger's child from his drug years, rolling urine. Yes, Mama's Dope Boy says, wouldn't surprise me if he was being sued by multiple people right now. Well, I believe he is, or is going to be. Stavati for sure is being sued, and I think he's being pulled into litigation with Gaia TV with Corey Good for slander and defamation. Stormcrow says, consider me very healed. Yes, and Pete Berry is here and says, the level of wackadoo in this man is definitely getting worse. Wow, just wow. You know, every time I think it can't possibly get worse, it gets worse, Pete Berry. But I thank you for your comment. Any more comments or questions for me, please put them in all capital letters. I want to mention that we're doing something a little differently tomorrow. I have a guest that I believe is in Australia. So it's very difficult for somebody in Australia to do I gotta love this. You know, I love it when trolls on Twitter attack my appearance. I'm being called, what is it? Dollar Store Depeche Mode. Stevie Dollar Store Depeche Mode Cambion. Hey, Mr. Marley, you're a piece of trash, right? He's claiming that Luis Caetano is one of my sock puppet accounts. First of all, I only have one Twitter account. That's it. And Luis Caetano chimes in and says, Cambion has interviewed me on his show. Nice try, but perhaps you're a sock puppet. You seem to be displaying the intelligence of a sock. You're pretending you're also not Cambion. Oh, God. Mr. Marley on Twitter, who loves to lick. Oh, I'm supposed to not curse during this broadcast, so I'm going to hold my comments for another time. So we're doing something new tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to do a live stream at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. This is against my better judgment. And we're interviewing Bruce Fenton tomorrow, who has some very interesting work about looking for proof of alien visitation on Earth. He's got a very interesting website about alien technology. It's an alien technology technosignatures research group. And I interviewed him once before, many, many years ago, for our audio podcast, Midnight Hour, which preceded Truth Seekers. So expanding the search for signatures of alien technologies into new scientific domains. If we don't search for alien technosignatures in the terrestrial environment, then who else will? So he's got some interesting work on this stuff. Our mission is to expand the search for signatures of alien technologies into new scientific domains. Oh, he's in the UK. I don't know why, but I thought he was in Australia. We are a UK-based nonprofit research organization. So he runs this nonprofit, and they're looking for alien technosignatures, which would be proof of alien life. And he's interesting character. I think you're going to enjoy it. So that'll be 1 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. I'll try to get that stream up before closing down my brain for this evening. Yeah, weak this. Well, here's the thing. They cannot attack my track record. You know, I've got an 8-year track record of accurate reporting. So all they have is, let's attack his appearance. And meanwhile, like, I could show you a picture of that guy. There's listen, I'm not even going to go after his appearance, but there's plenty of material there, believe me. And isn't it childish? What are we, in high school? You're like, oh, you're ugly. You look like this guy or that guy. It's so stupid. Perando Divination says, thank you for the show. You made my evening. Well, thank you, Perando Divination. I appreciate that. Thomas Robinson, great show. Yeah, well, we thank you all for your wonderful attendance. And please, if you're not busy tomorrow, I would sincerely appreciate everybody's attendance. 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. We don't usually do afternoon shows, and people are always asking me to do it. And you know what? I'm going to do it, but if nobody shows up for the live stream, I can't do that anymore. We have to stick to our normal time. The Militant Nerd said, came in late. Did we talk about how Shadows of Ezra doesn't know who Wilcock is? And once he said that Wilcock is nuts. Yeah, we didn't really talk about it because we've mentioned it on previous shows. But for those unaware, David Wilcock keeps sharing Shadows of Ezra posts saying that he's the Alliance Communications Director. And again, the Alliance doesn't exist. And Shadows of Ezra doesn't even know who David Wilcock is. So that's great. Skibidi Wilcock is reminding me about the bison steak that I forget during every Wilcock show, but someday I'll remember. It's still in my freezer. It's not going anywhere. Attacking looks is beneath the intelligence level. Yeah, if that's all they got, I miss the day streams. I have a lunchtime stream. I might miss the day stream, you said. Okay, well, look, we got to do it when we got to do it so the guests can do it. Brilliant tonight with the fast track through the clips. Yeah, I agree. It's much better. 6 p.m. UK time. Don't forget us. Yeah, well, be here. I'll make sure that be sure to follow me on Twitter at Stephen Cambion or on Facebook, just my name, Stephen Cambion. I post all the shows there before they happen. Love you, Muppet Baby, says AZ. Have a good night. Okay, and King Bull says, I'll have to rewatch this, and shame on Wacky Dave for lying about using superpowers to save Trump from that horrible incident. Yeah, and by the way, there's so many conspiracy theories around that, and people are asking me about them. We're going to do a separate show this week just on the conspiracy theories around that event. Thank you, Bunker Buster, with a kind and generous $4.99 super chat. For those unaware, we're a viewer-supported show. We thank every single person that sends a super chat, so get them in before the show's over. We're wrapping things up here. Thank you, Bunker Buster, for two things, being a member and a kind and generous $4.99 super chat, saying another great show. Well, thank you for saying so, and thank you for helping us, too.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
We are praising the cash, friends. Thank you all for your kindness, generosity, and support. It is much, much appreciated. Also, I want to thank Mike Larry. I still have not put the link in for Buy Me a Coffee. We're going to go back to that. But Mike Larry bought 40 coffees, which totals about $200 US, I think. So Mike Larry is changing from giving all of you moochers free YouTube memberships to just buying me coffees, and I'll keep a hell of a lot more money with the Buy Me a Coffee. For those unaware, YouTube takes 30%, whether it's a super chat, your membership, your $5 a month membership, a super thanks, a super sticker. They take 30% of that. But Buy Me a Coffee, it's only like 1 or 2%. So if you're going to send a huge amount, please do it through PayPal or Buy Me a Coffee. I will add the Buy Me a Coffee link. So there's several $100s in there already in the Buy Me a Coffee. Somehow that kind of went dormant and we just stopped using it because they weren't letting me, they stopped letting people just send it to PayPal. And you got to put your bank information. It's this whole big thing, but there's a couple $100 in there. So I'm going to do that. We're going to wrap things up here. For those unaware, my son had a very minor surgery today. So I want to go and check on him. He's doing well. He's fully recovered. And the minor surgery involved, this is one of the strange parts about being a parent. He got something stuck in his eye. And remember, I'm speaking about my son, Zachary, who's nonverbal autistic. So he can't speak and explain what's going on. We noticed that he had a little speck of something in his eye. We tried to wash it out several times. We took him to several doctors who tried to wash it out, and they were unable to just wash it out. So the doctor's advice is, does he like to swim? Maybe if he goes swimming, it'll just, the water, chlorine, whatever, will wash it out. We took him swimming in a pool, swimming in a lake. My wife took him to Sesame Place where they have those water jets that go right on him. And we tried everything. Couldn't wash whatever the speck was. So today, my wife and him unfortunately spent the entire day at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. They did have to, because of his other conditions, being autistic, you know, an autistic child, well, they said they probably would do it with a non-autistic child as well, because when you're talking about peeling something out of somebody's eye, it's very delicate sort of operation. So they administer general anesthesia to knock him out, and then then he would sit still. They kind of strap him in, and then whatever they did, they got the foreign object out of his eye, which I'm very thankful for. These are just some of the weird things that come along as a parent, I mean, that, and my kids get pink eye once in a while. Just weird stuff that you have to deal with as a parent. But luckily, I have a wonderful, patient, and loving wife who really is the best mother of children I've ever seen. She cares more about those children than anything in the world. So she took them to all the doctor visits. She took them to the minor surgery today. And you know how hospitals are. My wife said that they waited all morning from 8:30 till like 4:30. And then they took him back, and then she went to get a soda. And before she got back with the soda, they were already done. And he was in the post-op recovery room. He's fine. He was a little groggy when he got back, but because of the anesthesia, I guess. But he seems to be recovering fine. But I'm going to go check on him and the rest of my family. Like I said, I'm not sure what we're going to do tomorrow. We may double up on shows. I know we have the 1 p.m. interview with Bruce Fenton tomorrow at 1 p.m. I'd appreciate your attendance. And I've got half a show. I got to do a little bit more research. I'm researching all these Trump assassination attempt conspiracies, and we're going to see if we can dispel or confirm some of them. There's an awful lot out there, and we'll see. Just like with any major event that everybody is talking about, conspiracy theories abound. We'll see if we can't cut through the disinformation and misinformation around some of that stuff tomorrow evening. So I'm going to bounce on out of here. But like I said, I will be back tomorrow. Be sure to visit our website, truthseekershow.com. And if you need to send me a message or you're a potential guest, you can contact me at truthseekershow@gmail.com. And be sure to follow me on Twitter at Stephen Cambion. And if you're listening in audio podcast land, we love and appreciate you, but you're missing half the fun. So go on over to YouTube, put Truth Seekers, one word, in the search bar. Hit enter, and you'll see a strange guy with sunglasses. That would be me. So go to that channel, smash the subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and you'll know when we're doing a live taping for the podcast. We'd appreciate your attendance. A lot of people enjoy these live chats. People are making friends. You can also join our Discord server as well and chat with like-minded truth seekers the world over anytime you want to. So that's it for me, friends. I'm going to attend to some family matters and get ready for tomorrow's perhaps double broadcast. Just to bookend things, I don't think that David Wilcock can possibly lie anymore or get any more ridiculous, but you never know. And the fact that he's complaining that he's only making $10,000 a month on YouTube, I'm not going to get too personal, but if I was making $10,000 a month on YouTube, you wouldn't hear any complaints out of me. But we're a viewer-supported show, and I certainly don't do this for money. As long as the show is self-supporting, so I don't have any complaints from my wife for equipment purchases or software or things like that, I'm generally happy. And we've been covering our nut thanks to the kindness, generosity, and support of all of you, which I'm thankful for. So that's all I got for you, friends. Until next time, which will be 1 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow afternoon. That's all I got for you. Good night, and God bless all of you.